Trump administration poised to accept Palace in the Sky as a gift for Trump from Qatar, in what may be the most valuable gift ever extended to the United States from a foreign government. The Trump administration is preparing to accept a super luxury Boeing 747-8 jumbo jet from the royal family of Qatar, a gift that is to be available for use by President Donald Trump as the new Air Force One until shortly before he leaves office, at which time ownership of the plane will be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation. Sources familiar with the proposed arrangement told ABC News. Wow, I can't think of a bigger security concern than accepting a freaking airplane and then making that Air Force One from Qatar. How could the amount of work it would take to comb over that plane and ensure there's no surveillance devices or whatever, the amount of work it would take is insane. I can't even imagine it. The gift has been expected to be announced next week when Trump visits Qatar on the first foreign trip of his second term, according to sources familiar with the plans. But a senior White House official said the gift will not be presented or gifted while the president is in Qatar this week. In a social media post Sunday night, Trump confirmed his administration was preparing to accept the aircraft, calling it a very public and transparent transaction with the Defense Department. Trump had previously toured the plane, which is so opulently configured it is known as a flying palace, while it was parked in the West Palm Beach International Airport in February. The highly unusual, unprecedented arrangement is sure to raise questions about whether it is legal for the Trump administration and ultimately the Trump Presidential Library Foundation to accept such a valuable gift from a foreign power. Yeah, there has to be some weird legal. It seems to me on the surface legally dubious that he's able to accept it as a gift, make it like the official federal government Air Force One plane, and then when he leaves, just be like, "Yeah, I'm taking this with me," like it's the mints at a restaurant on the way out. He's just like, "Yeah, I'm just gonna take this with me." I don't know how that legally all works. It seems very strange to me. I guess maybe president is allowed to use their own personal plane. Maybe that makes sense. I guess. Hmm. That actually doesn't make sense now that I think about it, because the president is actually fairly restricted on what he's allowed to do. For security concerns. So I don't know. It's a weird one. Anticipating those questions, sources told ABC News that lawyers for the White House counsel's office and the Department of Justice drafted an analysis for Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, concluding that is legal for the Department of Defense to accept the aircraft as a gift and later turn it over to the Trump Library, and that it does not violate laws against bribery or the Constitution's prohibition, the Emoluments Clause, of any U.S. government official accepting gifts from any king, prince, or foreign state. How does it not wait? If we have a rule that says that explicitly says you cannot accept gifts or bribes from kings, princes, or foreign states, isn't this literally exactly what that is? How could you possibly parse this out between being a gift and something else? Sources told ABC News that Attorney General Pam Bondi and Trump's top White House lawyer David Warrington concluded it would be legally permissible for the donation of the aircraft to be conditioned on transferring its ownership to Trump's presidential library before the end of his term, according to sources familiar with their determination. The sources said Bondi provided a legal memorandum addressed to the White House counsel's office last week after Warrington asked for her advice on the legality of the Pentagon accepting such a donation. White House Secretary Caroline Leavitt said in a statement to ABC News, any gift given by a foreign government is always accepted in full compliance with all applicable laws. President Trump's administration is committed to full transparency, Leavitt added. Ali Ansari, Qatar's media attaché, said in a statement that the transfer of an aircraft for temporary use as Air Force One is currently under. Ooh, I think that's a typo. Ali Ansari, Qatar's media attaché, said in a statement that the transfer of an aircraft for temporary use as Air Force One is current under consideration by Qatar's Ministry of Defense and the U.S. Department of Defense. Is currently. Okay, there's a and typo on this ABC News article. The plane will initially be transferred to the United States Air Force, which will modify the 13-year-old aircraft to meet the U.S. military's specifications required for any aircraft used to transport the President of the United States, multiple sources familiar with the proposed arrangement said. Plane will then be transferred to the Trump Presidential Library Foundation no later than January 1st, 2029, and any costs relating to its transfer will be paid for by the U.S. Air Force, the sources told ABC News. Okay, yeah, this is where I get even more. This is where this seems to get even more legally dubious. Is like they're able to use those funds, like taxpayer dollars, to do this. That seems so weird. I could understand being legal in some scenario in which it's like the president provides the plane for himself, like he pays for the transfer, like all of that stuff is handled by him. That maybe would make sense to me that it's allowed. But the fact that he's allowed to accept it and then use taxpayer money to transfer it back to himself seems very weird. And the fact that they're saying it's legally allowed makes me go, is it really? Is it really? Because you can't trust anything this administration says about anything. So if they're arguing that it's legally allowed, it's almost certainly not. They're trying to bury the lead. They're trying to, I don't know, speak it into existence. According to aviation industry experts, the estimated value of the aircraft Trump will inherit is about $400 million, and that's without the additional communications security equipment the Air Force will need to add to properly secure and outfit the plane in order to safely transport the commander-in-chief. As the Wall Street Journal first reported, the aviation company L3Harris has already been commissioned to overhaul the plane to meet the requirements of a presidential jet. In his social media post, who's paying for all of this? It'd be really funny if like the cost of doing all of this is more than if they just like commissioned this same exact plane from the start. It'd be really funny. In his social media post, Trump claimed Democrats are insisting the administration pay top dollar for the aircraft rather than receive it for free. Following ABC News reporting, Democratic Senator Chuck Schumer said via social media, "Nothing says America first like Air Force One, brought to you by Qatar. It's not just bribery, it's premium foreign influence with extra legroom." While while Senator Adam Schiff, Democrat from California, cited the Constitution's no title of nobility clause, writing, "The corruption is brazen." Both the White House and the DOJ concluded that because the gift is not conditioned on any official act, it does not constitute bribery, the sources said. Okay, so they're arguing because there's no explicit quid pro quo, it can't be bribery. Like, if that is I don't think that is the official legal standard to prove bribery in this context. And if it is, then that clause in the Constitution may not even fucking exist because it would be practically impossible to prove. What idiot would do an explicit bribe like that, and have a quid pro quo people could find? There's no way. Nobody's that stupid. Bondi Bondi's legal analysis also says it does not run afoul of the Constitution's prohibition on foreign gifts because the plane is not being given to an individual, but rather to the United States Air Force and eventually to the Presidential Library Foundation, the sources said. What is the Presidential Library Foundation? Hold on, let me Google it. Presidential Library Foundations are nonprofit organizations that support the construction and operation of presidential libraries, which are museums and research centers dedicated to the preservation and study of presidential history. These foundations, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so they're non-governmental entities. They're nonprofits. Okay, so why would they transfer it to the... I feel like the whole transferring it to the Presidential Library Foundation sort of undermines his argument. His basic... The Democrats are like, this is corruption. And his counter argument is basically, it's a free plane, guys. Why would we not take it? Are you silly? Why would we not take this? Okay. Which in a vacuum sounds reasonable. Okay. But I feel like that point is completely undermined by the fact that he wants to have it transferred away from Air Force One to the Presidential Library Foundation, specifically by what they were saying, his Presidential Library Foundation, at the end of his term. And I would think if I'm gonna actually run with his argument that it's a free plane, guys, and why would we not accept it even if it's Qatar, he would want to it would remain an Air Force One, right? It would be an asset they're like really like, and they're going to keep in circulation for the next president, and maybe the next one, the next one. Why would they transfer it over after I'm done? I feel like that undermines the point he's trying to make. The primary aircraft used in the current Air Force One fleet includes two aging Boeing 747-200 jumbo jets that have been operational since 1990. The Air Force contract with Boeing to replace those aircrafts has been riddled with delays and cost overruns. The original contract was signed in 2018, but as of last year, Boeing anticipated the aircraft would not be ready until 2029 after Trump leaves office. The president has expressed deep frustration with the delays, tasking Elon Musk to work with Boeing and the Air Force to speed up the process. Those efforts have been modestly successful. Boeing's most recent estimated delivery date is now 2027, but Trump has made it clear he wants a new plane this year. I want my plane. I don't want it now. All right, let's read another article about this. Trump blasts Democratic criticism of Qatar plane gift, world-class leaders. Let's hope this article gives us a little bit more info on this. President Trump attacked Democratic lawmakers for criticizing his upcoming receipt of a luxury Boeing jet from Qatar. Bro, just imagine if Biden did this during his term. Trump would lose his fucking mind, okay? All the Republicans would lose their mind if Harris was elected and then she did this, right? Such an extreme double standard. In a Sunday night post on Truth Social, the president dismissed critics of a reported plan for him to receive a Boeing 747-8 airplane from the government of Qatar. Plane would replace Air Force One, according to several media reports, and would be kept by Trump's eventual presidential library after the end of his term. What the heck was a presidential library need with a 747 jet? While the White House did not confirm details about the transaction Sunday, the president confirmed the Defense Department would receive the gifted plane. I have to do it in his voice. So the fact that the Defense Department is getting a gift, free of charge, of a 747 airplane to replace the 40-year-old Air Force One temporarily in a very public and transparent transaction so bothers the crooked Democrats that they insist we pay top dollar for the plane. Anybody can do that. The Dems are world-class losers. MAGA, Trump wrote. It's just I literally cannot read something he's written without laughing afterwards. It's just so silly. I just like we're so deep. We're how many years into Trump now? We're what? 10 years into him dominating politics. And it's still I still can't get over just how ridiculous the transcriptions of what he says are are. ABC News first reported the pending plane deal ahead of Trump's visit this week to several Middle Eastern nations, including Qatar. Qatari officials told The Hill the plane would not be given to Trump during the trip. In a statement to News Nation earlier Sunday, White House Press Secretary Caroline Leavitt did not confirm the specifics of the deal, but said any gift given by a foreign government is always accepted in full compliance with all applicable laws. President Trump's administration is committed to full transparency. The report of the gifted plane sparked criticism from Democratic lawmakers who called it another example of Trump using the presidency to enrich himself. Representative Jamie Raskin, ranking member of the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee, called the reported deal a grift. Trump must seek Congress's consent to take this $300 million gift from Qatar. The Constitution is perfectly clear. No present of any kind whatsoever from a foreign state without congressional permission. A gift you use for 4 years and then deposit in your library is still a gift and a grift, Raskin wrote in a post on the social platform X. Senator Chris Murphy said in a post before Trump's own remarks that even if it's not a done deal yet, the fact giving Trump a jet is under consideration tells you all you need to know about what countries are being told they need to do to be an ally with America under Trump. It'd be so funny. I'm just imagining Trump now just like going country to country shopping around who's going to give him an airplane now. That's just a really funny thought. He's just like, well, I don't know, Qatar. The Swedes are offering me a nice 737. I know you offered a 727, but they're saying a 737. Maybe you could add a couple numbers, make it a 747. That would go a long way with me. I do love a good airplane. It's so ridiculous. I just this is like the one of the biggest examples of the double standard I can think of. Just imagine for 5.5 seconds Biden did this. Just imagine. Trump and the Republicans would lose their minds. They'd lose their minds. And it would be impossible to convince them that it's fine. Imagine them losing their minds about this, and then you tried to ease their concerns. Oh, don't worry, guys. Uh, uh, we needed a new plane anyways, and it's free, and you'd be stupid to not take it. Imagine if that was Biden's response to that. I just, it's just so ridiculous. And I think this is where there's a legitimate difference in integrity between the Republicans and Democrats on this instance. It's not like one side has integrity and the other doesn't. Okay, we're talking about degrees here. I think they both are, tracking towards lacking integrity, and there's a lot of people on both sides that are willing to lie. But I think the propensity and willingness of the Republicans to just overlook things to such a hypocritical level, it's unbelievable, is not comparable to the Democratic side. The Democrats would at least have some of their people calling this out, saying this is crazy, guys. We're just gonna stay quiet and defend this. The Republicans are unwilling to have that that moment of self-reflection whatsoever. They're just full on like whatever Daddy Trump does, and is fine. And if we disagree with it, we're either going to keep our mouth shut or we're just going to straight up lie and grift our way into coming up with some convoluted reason that it's fine. This is just so like I could care less about this about a one airplane. Okay, I don't. This is one of those things where it's like this isn't that substantive, and this kind of a story is ultimately a big distraction. Yes, it is a sign of rank corruption, of course, and it is a sign of the hilarious double standard that would be held if Biden or any Democrat did this exact same thing. But ultimately, this is just like not a very significant story. I mean, it's an airplane. Like, really, at the end of the day, who gives a shit? Like, I don't. It's just I don't know. It's just this is one of those frustrating nothing stories. There isn't a whole lot of substance, but it's very frustrating to discuss and to put in the context of our greater political environment right now. All right, let's move on.